I'm not ready to go up with her.
What's stopping you from going up with her?
I feel like I deserve to be punished.
Hello, deep divers. This is Ryan from Golden Pathways Coaching. I hope you're having a very wonderful Christmas with friends and family. And if not, I hope you're just having a wonderful time. We're bringing you today a very powerful shadow coaching session that I have done one-on-one with a lovely lady by the name of Zahra, who's having some troubles with some limiting beliefs. And we take her into the shadow and we dig in and we find some very surprising things. Some very powerful emotional releases happen. We're basically bringing this to you so that you can see the process, or at least part of the process, as we go through it. A lot of the discovery process has been edited out just to compact the video. But if this inspires you, if you feel that you have some stuff to release and you'd like to do it in a very safe way, then please contact me and I'll be able to help you through a coaching session online. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy and you enjoy the rest of your Christmas. As you know, shadow work, what we're basically doing here is we're delving into the aspects of yourself that you're denying to yourself.
Yeah.
Parts of you that have been repressed or hidden. And sometimes most often we do that because we don't like those aspects of ourselves. Sometimes those aspects are positive. Most of the time they have some sort of a negative emotional attachment. And so you're in a position right now where you're transitioning and reinventing, and you don't want to experience that pain, that feeling of failure again, like you may have gone through the previous business. And you've noticed there's some repeating patterns. So I want to get into those repeating patterns.
But definitely there's a part of me that needs to prove that I am enough, but if I do something that is maybe not, I guess, good enough by a certain standard, it's almost automatically used as a reason for why I'm not good enough.
Okay, so let's have a look at this. I am good enough. What do you define as I am good enough? What would you need to do in your life in order to say I'm officially good enough?
Yeah, and I guess that's where the challenge is, because obviously I feel like I'm having trouble answering this question, because I almost feel like, well, I mean, if you rationally think about it or something, you could come up with many reasons why you are good enough.
Sure. Well, we're checking with your basically your conscious mind before we go into the shadow.
Okay.
Yeah. So what does your conscious mind believe is good enough?
Okay, so my conscious mind believes being good enough is having a role and purpose within your surroundings, your environment, your community, your family, having that purpose where you're adding sort of like a positive influence into the lives of people around you, and you're enriching their lives in a positive way.
So in this society, the way that everything gets structured, we have basically a framework that says that we need to be good in order to be moral. There is a lot of suppression that actually occurs of the shadow aspects of ourselves, because if we express or accept these parts of ourselves, then we feel that we will be cast out from society. Because society will basically reject these parts of us and thus it will isolate us. As a natural instinct for self-survival, we will basically suppress these aspects of ourselves, thinking that by doing that we're doing ourselves favors and we're doing society favors. What you'll find is that you'll start to resent society. You'll start to project all your darknesses on the environment or on basically other people around you and say that they are that and you'll see it because it's something that's within you. When you see a friend who's succeeding in business,
Yeah.
does this make you feel good for the friend, or does this make you feel insecure?
If I see a friend doing good, I almost feel, yeah, I do initially feel that sort of inadequacy of where did I fall short, and but almost in a positive sense in a way, because I'm thinking like, how can I learn from their success and what are they doing right, and I'd like to know that. But it's still coming from that feeling of, well, I'm still inadequate, I'm not good enough, I need to do what they're doing so that I can be successful like them. But of course I feel happy for them.
Yeah.
It's just the way that I feel about myself when I see that. It's
It highlights to you your inadequacies.
yeah.
Your shadow, as you know, is the repressed hidden parts of you. It's also a very emotion-based area. It's not necessarily logical. It's not necessarily correct. It's simply parts of you that you feel. And so they are, as far as they're concerned, right and accurate. But the mind can actually give guidance to these parts of us.
Yeah.
That maybe the information it holds and feels is not accurate. I want to ask a question to your shadow aspect. What is it that you are trying to prove to the world about yourself?
Well, I'm trying to prove my worth, my self-worth.
Does that need to be proved in order to be validated?
Certainly there's a level of acknowledgement that and validation that as humans I believe that we require to be able to be functional in society and functional as a whole and as an individual. So it is necessary for life to have that connection within the community.
Why are you not good enough?
If I make mistakes, knowing that I could be doing something else, but then I knowingly make mistakes, I don't know, it shows a disconnect in where my motivations really lie. And if I can't resist temptations, and if my discipline isn't strong enough, and I don't feel like I'm in control, or I even know who I am, because can I even set tasks for myself and achieve them?
So if you're not good enough, then you don't know who you are.
I guess so.
Okay. So you've basically defined yourself as a person as merely the things that you do in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not some monk sitting in like solitude for my entire life. You know, like I'm participating within a society, and I've got purpose and a role. I'm a part of a whole. So doing things, producing stuff, like being of service, those are things that are important to be part of that.
But what it means is that your default is that you're not good enough, and that it's only by your actions that you can make yourself good enough.
Yeah, it's hard because it's stemming from a belief. It's not a logical conclusion drawn from like events.
Remember, we're talking about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you can rationalize your way out of. When did you start not feeling good enough?
I don't know if there was a specific event or is just a general feeling that slowly slowly arrived or something over a matter of like months or years.
Well, let's take it back a few steps. Try to picture yourself maybe when you're somewhere between like 6 years old to 8 years old.
Yeah, that's really hard for me to visualize that specific age.
Can you feel, though? You might not be able to visualize it, but can you feel yourself as a young child? How did you feel?
Scared.
Scared. What were you scared of?
Environment changing too fast, instability all around me, not having that predictability of where we're going and what we're doing.
So you had a lot of moving when you were young.
Well, in context, my parents got divorced when I was 5. And then from that age up until 8 or 9, I was living with my mum. And there were some instabilities, moving house, and just the reputation of a newly divorced / single woman in Pakistan is really hard, especially a single woman with children. It's really, really, really challenging. So there were, yeah, that almost, it was almost like we had to feel ashamed for who we were because society did not really accept single Muslim women with children. It's either you're still with your husband or you're dead.
Right.
It's quite extreme sometimes.
So that social threat is very real in that society of if you break relationships, then you might actually starve to death. You might actually lose your home, be in the streets, be homeless. Yeah, so that's okay. So that may have shaped a little bit about why you need to prove yourself as good enough, why you by default might feel not good enough, because of that innate threat that you're taught at very young and the formative years. Did you feel that you needed to play a role at such a young age in order to help create some sort of stability, or were you in a complete trusting state that your mum has this?
I felt like I had to be the rock because I knew that my eldest brother, so I've got 2 older brothers, and my eldest brother has learning disabilities and sort of developmental issues and things like that. So I knew that I don't want to say he was a burden on my mum, but I knew that he required a lot of energy and commitment and time from her, plus on top of what she's already going through. And then I knew my other brother was sort of more the quiet sort of type, but I was, because I'm a female and my mum's a female, there was almost more of that connection of where I didn't really have those issues that my brother did, and I was able to, even though I was the youngest, it felt like I was assumed that responsibility that I will be that stable rock.
Now, I'm going to just put a statement out there. I just want to just see how you feel about this statement. Children cannot be a foundation or a rock because they are children. Maybe by taking on this role of being a foundation and a rock, what you inevitably did was actually set yourself an impossible task. And maybe you rested your very foundation of who you are on an impossible task. And thus you perpetuate through your entire life this idea that you need to prove yourself to be good enough because you're always trying to reach this impossible place.
Yeah, but it feels like I didn't choose to do that. Like when you're saying it, it sounds like I'm self-sabotaging by setting myself an impossible task, but I wasn't trying to self-sabotage. I was doing it for survival, because when you're at such a young age, you're relying on your parents, and then you don't have that stability to have both parents at home. So the one parent that you do have, you want to make sure that they're in like a really good state to be able to take care of you, because you need a lot of care at that time. So it wasn't a choice for me whether to set myself this task, whether it's impossible or not. That was the only purpose. I can see that there's a part of me that is, for the sake of survival, wants to use its energies to prove to the world that I'm not sure. This is really confusing.
I understand. It's difficult to kind of get around sometimes. Okay, so what I'd like to do is to guide you down into connecting with this part of yourself, what we call the inner child. This is the part of yourself that is probably the rawest, most emotional, just expressive part of ourselves. It's very innocent. It just is what it is. It can't really be rationalized with what we can only do really is connect to it on an emotional level. And I want to bring, we want to bring love and care, because this inner child, more often than not, is carrying a lot of these unconscious burdens that it has been placed on it, either from external situations or internal decisions.
Yeah.
So I basically want you to close your eyes, and I want you just to focus on your breathing. Take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And the door's open. I want you to step through. You're stepping into a cave. This is a very special cave. In here you find your most treasured secrets, and you find your own inner child. You can see them in front of you. They're standing there facing away from you. I want you to walk slowly over to your inner child. I want you to say hello. Now, they want to tell you something. It has something to say. You see them turn around to face you. What does your inner child want to tell you about your feeling of needing to prove yourself?
I don't know in terms of words, but my inner child cannot really recognize my present self, because all she sees is a giant, scary monster with red and black.
So, your inner child is afraid of monsters. I want you to embrace your inner child with love, with your arms, with protection. Reassure her she's okay, she is safe. The monsters were in her mind. There are no longer any threats. And spend some time now giving her some love and comfort. What does your inner child need right now?
Just some comfort, companionship, and play.
That's wonderful. So, we're going to bring that aspect of yourself up with us in the elevator. We're going to bring her into your conscious mind, where she can see that she is safe and loved and nurtured, so she never has to feel alone like that again. She doesn't have to feel afraid anymore. So I want you to take her by the hand and lead her to the elevator. And press the button to go up. She's safe. She's on a journey up into your conscious mind now.
I'm not ready to go up with her.
What's stopping you from going up with her?
I feel like I deserve to be punished.
You've already been punished for a crime that you did not commit. You are strong, and you've proven yourself as a very amazing human being, completely valid. It's okay to release these feelings. These things that we hold deep in us, they only demand we acknowledge them, accept them, and we love these parts of ourselves.
Now that my inner child wants me to come up with her, but there's a part of me that just feels so undeserving of that love.
Every human being deserves love. You deserve love. There's never a time that you didn't deserve. And it's time for you to accept that love now.
Even if I'm a horrible, scary monster?
Even if you're a scary, horrible monster. In fact, scary, horrible monsters are usually that way because they don't have the love. But you do. Do you feel ready to come up with your child now?
Yeah.
This is a part of yourself that you're reclaiming. You're going to come up together now. Step inside when you're ready and close the doors. How do you feel?
Emotional.
Looks like we found quite a deep emotional shadow there that needed to come out.
Yeah. There were several things there, wasn't it?
There was. It's very interesting that you saw yourself as a big scary monster. Do you feel a bit of clarity on what maybe your motivations for proving yourself is good enough, if that's how you saw yourself?
Yeah, well, if that's how I see myself, and if I'm potentially just going around scaring young children or something, can't even help it really, because that's just how I see myself. So maybe that's what I start projecting. I wouldn't really be spreading positivity and cheer or anything in people's lives. So yeah, I would be setting myself an impossible task, basically.
Right. So what conclusion did you draw out of that experience?
That there is an inner child within me, and she is vulnerable. She is fragile, and she does have a very playful spirit. She's also very forgiving, which I find difficulty with as an adult. And so maybe reintegrating her within myself, I might be able to become more in touch with the forgiving nature of myself that wants to love. Like unconditionally, basically. It's, yeah, without holding conditions and standards and all these requirements.
Sometimes as adults we have to make a decision who we give the love to. But it's important that we're in touch with that part of ourselves that wants to love, that's allowed to love, and to express that in a really healthy way. It's in our wisdom of adults that we are able to set those boundaries, but not from compulsion or fear. Wonderful. I think we've made some good progress. You've had a really good release. This is. Do you feel happy if we end the session here? Or would you like to go deeper into things?
I feel like my throat feels like there's a bit of pain in my throat in terms of emotion. I often get this pain when there's like emotion that is coming up, but then it gets stopped before it actually can be vocalized. And so it feels stuck in my throat, and I start feeling like a pain pressure in my throat. And sort of that's what I'm feeling right now. So I'm not sure if there's something else there that's
It's what they
still
call
holding
a
me
knot,
back.
a knot in your throat. That's when emotions come up. What we don't want to release is too much emotions in one session because it might be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But what you could do now, if you wanted to find a nice quiet space, is actually chant to help to release that emotion from that throat. I want you to connect to basically a beautiful part of yourself, a loving energy, an internal mother nurturing energy. Bring that energy up throughout your throat as you sing or as you chant. Maybe you could pick a word that has great depth and meaning to you in this way. It could be in forgiveness, or it could be in love. A word that has resonance, and sing it through your throat. And you'll find that this will clear that chakra for you.
All right.
Thank you very much for opening up and allowing yourself to feel vulnerable. And as you go in and deep dive each time into this aspect of ourselves, we bring something else out, and we can bring ourselves deeper into a state of completion and understanding about ourselves. You may find that what we touched on there was one of the core shadows, and that a lot of your fears or even self-sabotages might have been manifesting because you weren't in touch with that part of yourself before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to sort of go there in a safe way and guided way.
Sure.
I wasn't expecting. I didn't really know what I was expecting, honestly, going into it, or what I was going to discover, or anything like that. So yeah, like especially like right at the bottom, I was so surprised where it was just like I just felt like I wasn't ready to sort of go in, and then I had to speak up and tell you like, no, I'm not ready, because I've got this weird like martyrdom syndrome where I'm like, well, I'll suffer for your innocence, so you go up and I'll be down here in the dirty dark cave on my own like you had to be, like.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we just have to make a decision we know is good for us. That part of you that's trying to hold you back and be a martyr has been trying to also hurt you. And it's because it's acting out of pain. And
Yeah.
it's good to be in touch with that part of ourselves. A lot of us have that self-martyrdom in us. It's a manifestation of our goodness in a way, but really,
Yeah.
is it? Or is it just pain?
It's literally just it's just more pain. It's like, yeah, because really at the end of the day, nobody really deserves, like, nobody really should be spending that much time down there. It's not fun. It doesn't make you a better person if you can suffer the darkness down there for as long as your inner child had to. Like, it's not a competition. It's not about justice. I mean, true justice is that it's healed and you can both move forward as one, sort of thing. And I feel that's more, yeah. And I was not expecting that forgiveness thing to show up, where I finally did accept that, okay, well, I am gonna come with you up, but only because I noticed that the inner child in me was sort of just innocently wanting that love and companionship once she recognized who I was. And she wasn't judging me for looking like a monster or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've got a lot to reflect on now. So it's a good time to actually start journaling.
Yeah.
If you want to continue these conversations with your inner child, it's good to write these things down and keep track of it, because you can actually have a really good back and forth right now while you're kind of primed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Zahra, and we'll be ending this session now. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. This is a bit of inspiration for your own journeys.
Wow, what a powerful session. Thank you so much for watching. This is Golden Pathways Coaching. I'm Ryan Jackson Saw, Shadow Coach, and thank you, Deep Divers. Hope you're having a wonderful rest of your Christmas, and don't forget to like and subscribe and get in contact if you want to get some one-on-one personal coaching with me. We'll see you all next time.